first, it's funny what they used, the title on this article, but nevertheless, man killed, you notice that, while changing flat on Highway 25. A 41-year-old man was killed Sunday morning after he got out of a vehicle on Highway 25 and was struck by another vehicle. Quebec Provincial Police said there were 4 people in the car when the driver pulled over in the northbound lanes of the highway in the Saint Francois sector of Laval around 12:45. One man in the vehicle got out to change a flat tire. Police say the female driver whose vehicle struck and killed the man was momentarily distracted, and she is not likely to face charges. So here in Canada, in order for us to travel in a vehicle, the de facto powers are claiming that we have to subscribe to their services in order to have this right. The only one who has to pay to travel is a legal person, and of course they don't inform us that that's what's going on, but nevertheless. So they say you have to pay for this right. And then if you sign up and make your application with them, then they will give you a test. They'll put you through schooling, then ask you to take a test. And if you pass their test through their conditions, then they'll let you pay for a permit, and they'll let you pay to register your vehicle, and then they will give you limited rights to travel. For example, you went and you applied for just a driver's license for your car, you went through the schooling, you went through the test, you passed, you got your permit, now you're allowed to drive your car. A month later you decide, I'd like to drive a motorcycle. Now they're going to say, well, you have to go through the same process here for a motorcycle. And let's say perhaps you wanted to drive a truck instead of a car, like a commercial truck. They'll say, well, now you have to go through the same process again. You'll have to go to school, take a schooling that will provide for you. You're going to pay for it, but will provide for you. Take a test. If you pass the test, then pay for the permit and pay to get the registration on the vehicle, and then we'll give you limited rights to drive a truck. So that's how they produce us to travel. Now, on the other hand of that, they say that if you do all this, we're going to cover you. We're going to cover you with benefits. So if you're injured out there on the road, then we'll protect you. Our system here will be here to support you, you legal person. This is from the Highway Safety Act. It works right across Canada. This is Article 3 here, or 63, sorry. The spouse of a victim on the date of a victim's death is entitled to a lump sum indemnity equal to the greater of the amount obtained by multiplying the gross income used in computing the income replacement indemnity to which the victim was entitled on the 181st day after the accident, or would have been entitled to on that date if he had survived. So you multiply that income that the person who died was receiving by the factor appearing in Schedule 1 opposite to the age of the victim on the date of his death. So here is the death benefits for accidents, for people who die because of a car accident. So here you see, that's the age indicating if you die at that age, and that's the factor. They're going to multiply the salary that you made, and they're going to multiply it by that. So for example, if you were 28 years old, and you were making $30,000 a year, and you died, they would multiply your salary by 1.6. And that would be your benefit that your spouse or your family would be entitled to for your death. So 1.6 times $30,000. This is the Canadian salary that the MPs, the cabinet ministers, the state and leaders or other parties receive for being members of the government of Canada. Now you see, a member of parliament gets a total of $157,731. The prime minister gets a total salary of $315,462. A speaker gets $233,000. A leader of the opposition gets $233,000. Cabinet minister and minister of the state also get over $200,000. Now, apart from this, they also get additional credits, like travel credits, their hydro paid, apartments paid, food paid. These are all additional freedoms that they're entitled to. So as you notice here, they make over $200,000 to $300,000 per year, each one of them. This is from Stats Canada. So it says non-elderly male and non-elderly female, a non-earner and an earner, meaning someone who works or doesn't work. This is the average income across Canada. So here you see that a male makes $37,000 a year and a female makes $33,000 a year, according to what they are describing here in that. So we'll take that as an average. So here in Canada, the average MP salary, the amount that they get paid, now this is excluding their travel permits and again their hydro and their right to food and their right to have their bell paid and all this other stuff that is attached to their duties, they get an average salary of $215,000. Some of them make more, some of them make less, but in average it's $215,000 per year. Per year, that's what they get. Now, according to Statistics Canada, the average man, he makes $37,000 a year. That's the average man. And the average woman, and this is working, makes $33,800 a year, the average woman. So there's a great big difference here to what's being made from a parliament member and to an average man, an average woman. Now So with this in our mind, thinking about the Canadian MP making $215,000 a year, and we'll stick with an average man making $37,000 a year. If you're out there and you've used their services now and you're driving in your vehicle and smash, something happens to you and you die, well, your spouse or your family members, they're going to get a benefit. They're going to get something from the government for your death, because they're going to say that, well, since you used our system, you're entitled to benefits. Now, if you die in that car accident, the benefit that you get is your yearly salary. Or the benefit that's given to your spouse is the yearly salary that you made last year, plus an adjustment factor. An adjustment factor. And as you saw on the adjustment factors, it starts at 1.0. And in some areas it goes up to 4 or 5 even. So let's see what this entitles someone to who loses someone on the road. So I took the information off the public internet and I jumped in 5 years increments, because I'm not going to start at 25 and go to 80 years old. It's going to be too much information. So if you're 25 years old and you die there out on the road, well, the benefits that your family or your spouse is entitled to is a 1% multiplication factor. So if you had $37,000, well, that's what you're getting, $37,000, because they're doing 37 times 1. You get no benefits, no extra benefits. So that's what they considered what a life is worth here in Canada if you die on the road. That's what they considered a life is worth. If you're 25 years old or younger and you die, well, they feel that $37,000 is what your life is worth. If you're 30 years old and you die in an accident, in a car accident, well, they're going to give you a multiplication factor of 2. A factor of 2 they're going to put on it. So they're going to, if your average salary was $37,000 the year before you died, well, the benefits that your spouse would receive or your family would be $74,000. 74. That's what a life is worth here in Canada. $74,000. Now, if you were 35 years old, example, they would put a multiplication factor upon it of 3. So your life would be worth, if you were 35, $111,000. That's what your spouse or your family would receive as benefits. And if you were 40 years old, the multiplication factor would be 4. So you would receive $148,000, or your spouse or your family members would receive that as a benefit. And if you were 45 years old, and this is the top maximum that you'll ever find, they'll give you a 5% or a 5 multiplication factor on it. So you would have $37,000 times 5, which would give you your spouse or your family members $185,000. That would be the death benefit that they would be entitled to. Now remember, this is all prior to taxes. They have to remove taxes and then give you the amount. So if you're 25 years old, I just want to let you know, and you're driving around here in Canada, your life is worth $37,000 to them. So be careful. Don't get killed on the road. And if you're 30 years old and you're driving around on the road out there and you've subscribed to their services and they've promised to protect you and produce benefits for you, well, your life is worth to them $74,000. So please don't leave your family. Don't get into an accident because they need you. They won't be helped by the government. Now, this may sound funny, but look at this. $185,000 would be the top benefit for that man up there. The top benefit for dying. That's his life. He's gone forever now. He's never coming back. Depends if you believe in reincarnation, but let's just say he's gone forever from the physical. Now the MP who works there for her queen, he gets $215,000 a year. A year. But yet this one whose life is lost now is not worth even that much. Not even that much. This is an indication of the Canadian province's average house prices in January 2012. British Columbia, $532,000. Ontario, $359,000. Alberta, $343,000. Quebec, $259,000. Saskatchewan, $261,000. And as you can see the rest. So that's the amount that it would cost in order to buy a house here in Canada, right across the provinces. And it says Canadian average is $348,000. That's how much it would cost you to buy a house. So an average home in Canada, an average home costs $348,000 to purchase and to have security to live in. An MP makes on average $215,000 a year. And if you die as a legal person out there driving, the most benefits that your family could ever hope to get, if you're on average, is $185,000. So that benefit wouldn't even produce you the ability to buy a home here in Canada. So your life is not even worth as much as a material good here in Canada. Your life is not even worth as much as a home here in Canada. The way the laws are structured, it seems it is telling us that a home, a material possession, has more value than a human being here in Canada. And if you don't like that statement, well, I'm sorry, but it's true. Because they're not lying, these numbers here. If they valued us so much as human beings so much, why didn't they put the system in where that if someone did get killed or died, that there would be a just amount that is given to the surviving spouse or surviving relatives? Something at least to help them. Not put them in a bad situation. $185,000, that's at 45 years old, or 45 years of age, that person who's going to get that when they died. So let's say the person will live another 30 years, just for example, to live to be 75 years old. And let's say they don't do much with that money. They don't do much. How much does that equal out to be every year? Not much, huh? Not much. You can't even survive off of it. If it was a man who died, who was supporting, for example, his girlfriend or his wife with no children, and that was the benefit that he got, and the wife had another 30 years to live, it would never help her. It would never be enough for her to survive. As a man or a woman, we have a right. We have rights. We have a right to a living. And that living is including housing. That's a benefit that we're entitled to as being humans, men and women under law. But here, their benefit that they give their legal person for driving, it won't even produce. And this is talking about death. Talking about someone who's dead now. It wouldn't even produce a benefit that we have here. We have the right to the house, but a benefit that's paid to this dead surviving relatives wouldn't even be able to give them a house. Wouldn't even be able to go and afford to purchase a house. Now this is a system that's saying, subscribe to me. This is a system that's saying, hey, I'm here to help you and protect you. We're making these systems up for the better of man. Garbage. And more garbage. If we travel as men and women, and God forbid we happen to pass away on the road because of an accident, well, when we die, our surviving relatives, our spouse or our family members, they can sue the government. And they can decide what the value of my life was or your life was when we passed away. Not these legislators, $37,000 for a 25-year-old man. $74,000 for a 30-year-old man. Disgusting. But that's the right that we acquire, again, as being humans and men and women under law. Because the value of life is, oh wow, who can attach a value to it? It's worth more than diamonds, it's worth more than gold, it's worth more than the CN Tower here in Canada. One life, yeah. Because I'm of the opinion that when you go, you don't come back. And all you experience in this life is beautiful. And if that's taken away from you, it's a sad situation. Because yes, there's tribulation, and yes, there's sorrows, and yes, there's trials in life, but there's beautiful times also. There's happy times, and there's good times also. And if that gets taken away from you, and if you die and your family member has no more chance to experience that with you, that's horrible. And if that happens because they wanted to build a commercial system built around people driving Why should I suffer the consequences, and why should you suffer the consequences? So just to let you know again, you see the value of life in this system. And people say this is an awesome system, it respects us and it gives to us. No, it doesn't. It's a bunch of garbage that's going on, and they're hiding all of this.